Hey guys, this is just a quick video for those who are feeling like they just can't catch a break, like they're trapped underwater. Every day there's a new obstacle, there's a new challenge. Your car breaks down, you had unexpected bills pop up, this pops up, something else, and a lot of you are just feeling like you're over it. Like, God, like what is going on? Some of you just got to the point where you just accept it. Like this, I guess this is just life now. This is just, I don't know what's going on, but every day there's something new and I don't know what else to do at this point. And it's like, some of you are looking around and you're looking at those who are just living their lives, however, and it looks like they're doing pretty okay, but yet you're the one being hit so hard and you're like, God, what is happening? Like, why am I being allowed to go through so much suffering? And that's why I really felt strongly led to share the story of Joseph. I think a lot of people overlook the story of Joseph and how relevant it is to the situation many of us are facing right now. And so I'm just going to go through it briefly, but basically Joseph came from a very large family. Ended up, his brothers, they tried to sell him into slavery. First, they tried to kill him, and then they were convinced not to, so they ended up selling him into slavery. Joseph ends up becoming a slave, going through all of that. And in the Bible, yeah, it still says God was with him. But while God was with him, he was actually promoted in that. He actually got to a place of authority, even in slavery. And so through that, he kind of kept facing numerous trials. He's already thrown into slavery, but then he's promoted, but then something else happens. But then he's kind of promoted, he gets thrown into prison. He starts to interpret dreams. Before that, he gets accused of rape. He denied this woman, but was accused of rape and still got thrown into prison. And it's like back to back to back, this man could not breathe for nothing. And it's like Joseph was the brother that was just minding his business, not really doing much. And yet he got thrown into so many trials. And his brothers and his family, not all of them, but his brothers were the ones that tried to kill him. So it's like, at some point, the brothers end up needing to come to where Joseph is, and they need resources. And Joseph is now ruler. Not exactly ruler, but right under the ruler, helping the ruler pretty much, where he's at in Egypt. And they come to him for resources, and they don't recognize him at first. But Joseph, he recognizes his family, he recognizes his brothers, and he's gracious to them. Even though they try to pay for the resources, he sends them back with the money that they try to pay for it with, and the supplies that they need, he sends them back. They end up having to come back. It's a long story, but I would encourage you to read more into this story. But when they do come back, Joseph ends up revealing himself to them, and he weeps. And what happens next is something that a lot of us need to sit and dwell in and just digest. His brothers they end up being very remorseful and pretty much like, you helped us after we tried to sell you into slavery. And I'm going to get my Bible right here because this is Joseph's response. And he basically tells them, like, don't feel bad, don't worry about it. He says, it was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. And that verse right there, Genesis 45, chapter 45, verse 5, that right there speaks so much to us. Like, that can speak so much to our lives, because this man, his family betrayed him. They tried to kill him. They put him through so much. He went through so much in his life. And yet he said, it was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. So basically, the suffering he endured was to help those who tried to hurt him. God still had grace and mercy towards them. And even in that, you're like, but Joseph had to go through all that for the people who didn't deserve. That's the God that we serve. The one that was chosen, that allowed God to use him. He endured that suffering, and still yet God had grace towards the people who maybe we might feel deserved it the least. And that's something we might have to question about ourselves. Are we gracious enough to be used to help others, even the ones that we might feel deserve it the least? And God sometimes operates like that. But yet Joseph did not come out in his suffering, he came out above that. He was now one of the top in Egypt, and he had access to all the resources. He had access to wealth and everything. And yet his family was still saved because of his obedience, because of the suffering that he had to go through. And so this is something that I want us to be very prayerful about, because a lot of times we might think we have brought on our own suffering. We might question God about our suffering. And the real thing that we need to do is not sit so much in, why is this happening to me? What's going on? I don't deserve this. But just pray the prayer, God, you brought me to it. You will get me out of it. If there's something I need to change, help me to see that. But just stay faithful through that prayer, because God does not just allow us to go through things just for nothing. There's a reason for everything. And at the end of it, you will come out on top. So just remember that and stay prayerful. And remember, God has not forgotten about you, and he is with you through everything that you are facing. So be blessed and take care.